Hi, this is Fix My Fibro and my name's Bernadette. So the topic of this video is driving, meaning driving a vehicle. When you have a systemic onset where every mast cell in your whole body is set off, it is completely paralyzing and agonizing. I know when I've had those kind of systemic onsets, which happened when my disease first started back in 1999, and again then 5 years later, I had another massive systemic onset. That if I was moving in my bed or doing any kind of movement, slightly out, getting out of bed, going to the fridge or going to the toilet or just mild movement, I would have severe agonizing pain everywhere, absolutely everywhere. You're literally crippled. Yet I had to still sometimes, as the weeks and then months roll on, well, you still have doctor's appointments and you just can't rely on people constantly taking you. I had lots of help, but, as the years and the time goes on, you don't get offers for people to drive you. So there were times that I would have to drive myself to a doctor's appointment or anywhere. I would be bawling my eyes out, crying because the sheer agony of just getting ready when you're having a systemic onset, let alone, you can't lift your arms up to do your hair because you've got such severe pain in the back of your shoulders, through your torso, all your arteries are inflamed. Everything's inflamed. It's agonizing. Any movement is agonizing. I used to stay bedridden for 3 months, and literally I would ring my bank and say, I can't pay my mortgage. I have no way to work. I've got time off work, or I'm not getting paid once my sick leave ran out. So having to then drive yourself anywhere when you're in that much pain, or at times you can't. Like there are some times that I had family driving me. My father drove me to a appointment, or several appointments, but one appointment, and even every bump in the road, I was screaming out. Even, the car's got suspension, but the pain was excruciating. So when you're having these really severe systemic onsets, driving, you're not actually safe to drive. I used to sit in the car with my hands sitting on my laps and just barely be touching the wheel. And I thought, if I had a car accident, I would have probably killed myself or killed someone else. Like I was so cautious driving, trying to get to these doctor's appointments. But it would take every bit of energy out of you. I think when you're having this kind of a severe systemic onset and how difficult it is for driving. The other thing is when you're having these other symptoms, things like blurry vision, which is caused by excess histamines, and the MCAS in its own right, but it's caused by eating excess histamines or an excess histamine overload from your mast cells. That causes severe blurriness where there were times I refused to drive. I remember once when I was working early on in the piece, and I rang my boss and I said, I can't drive into the office. I couldn't even focus on a stop sign, 3 meters in front of me, because I just can't focus. Like my vision has gone that bad. So driving can be really difficult and challenging when you're in a severe mast cell degranulation, a severe systemic onset. The only thing that quells the symptoms, and it's almost miraculous, is a high dose of corticosteroids. People don't like taking corticosteroids. It's not the ultimate long-term treatment for mast cell activation. It's just a big Band-Aid. So if you think this is your mast cell, it's popping open, you've got to stabilize that mast cell so it doesn't just keep popping open, which is what's happening, which is what your disease presentation is. When they pop out all the cytokines that cause all the inflammation, steroids or prednisolone is just a big it stops those cytokines being released. So it's almost a miraculous treatment. Within 2 days of having a high dose of steroids, like, 2 tablets, like a 50 milligram dose, you literally feel nothing. You go, oh my God, I'm not in pain. This is amazing. But the minute you wean off and come off them, it all comes back if you're having a major systemic onset. So, and those onsets can last 2, even 3 years. So it's important to understand what's going on and also be very careful when you're driving because of these issues with relation to the mast cell activation.